Welcome back. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone and Rovi, and today we have another update. Bitmap, 709,000 inscriptions.
Yeah, dude. New week, same leaf. New week.
Yeah,
a lot happening. A lot to be excited about.
Another 100K in a single day, dude.
Yeah, dude. So we're getting closer and closer. So first thing to point out is this: even though we've been relying on this Unisat count since the beginning,
that's true.
It's not the true count, right? Just in case you guys don't know that.
It's just total.bitmap inscriptions, including errors and
duplicates, attempts to finagle the systems, whatever it is, right? But the standard, I guess the consensus around the bitmap standard is with the assistance of indexers, right? We're going to only validate like the first mints, the first inscriptions of any order.
Yeah.
And I think the indexers that do exist, I think Track, is the main one supporting the bitmap ecosystem at the moment, in partnership with Satoshi Nakamoto and Foundations.
Yep.
Whatever that's turning into, it's like a whole foundation over there.
Satoshi Industries.
Right. A whole like thing, conglomerate effort is starting to form, which is pretty interesting. It basically is like the grassroots of a foundation, right?
Yeah. Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse. Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game Rovi.ai. Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. All right, back to the video.
They've been working for like a solid week to get like this indexing protocol, like paying attention to what's going on with Bitmap, and it looks like it's working out.
Yeah,
and I think roughly the true count is like around 600,000.
Yeah, so we can check. We can check. So it's at Ordinals wallet, and then go through this verification. We go to collect, go to Bitmap, highest 24 volume today.
Still on top, dude. Still on top.
And the total supply 630,000.
Almost like 15,000 owners, dude.
Yeah.
630,000?
630,000.
So you can also go to looksordinal.com, I think, which is, I think, the same entity / group who is working on Track, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that's another like source of true data if you want to know exactly how many of these things are actually valid within this standard protocol. So I don't think we've actually interfaced with this before, so you probably don't know exactly how to utilize it, right?
Yeah. So where do you search?
That's a good question, dude.
Okay. So yeah, this is another one. So this is how. So the way you get here is going to bitmap.land, and then go to inscribe, and it takes you back here, right?
That's right. Yeah. So it's another. So let's go over. Okay, you want to like start from the beginning? 'Cause I feel like every time we do one of these videos, it's nice to like contextualize what's happening, right?
Yeah. So
what is Bitmap? And like a 1-minute elevator pitch.
So Bitmap takes the existing blocks of Bitcoin, and it says the block is now a district of the metaverse, and the transactions within that block are parcels within that district.
Right.
And so Satoshi just took the transaction information from a given block and he contextualized it in the form of a metaverse.
Right. Like a basically like a layer of worldwide mutual understanding as far as like, how can we associate inscriptions and ownership of on top of Bitcoin to some sort of like architecture or framework for metaverse development to occur. That's the original like thesis behind everything in the Bitmap theory.
Yeah.
But it's starting to like blossom into so many different types of interpretations, right? It just doesn't necessarily have to be so like metaverse focused. Maybe not this early.
Yeah, correct.
Or maybe not at all. Just the fact that you're able to inscribe ownership of blocks of Bitcoin, historical and future context, and then within those blocks are bits of information that can be utilized for whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right now, the main interpretation of where that value could lead us to is virtual environments, tied to all of the non-arbitrary information that Bitcoin supplies.
That's right.
But we're going to go through a couple of interesting theories today.
And that's why we like Bitmap so much, is because it's not arbitrary, right? Everything that came before it, it's purely just random numbers.
Correct. And basically most markets, specifically the metaverse market, which we have the most experience with, any virtual environment that's ever spun up has literally been like some guy or some organization being like, you know what? Here's this new virtual environment, and here's like the parameters of it. How much of a max supply that exists as far as like who can own this
And let's to be clear, it's not just virtual environments that have been arbitrary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's token supplies,
right?
Emission rates,
Everything.
like everything that's been developed in like the crypto industry. Most of it, almost all of it, is just purely arbitrary.
Right, and that's not to 100% like just totally like. It's not like we're attempting to pull out apart like this house of cards or anything like that. Like Satoshi himself created something arbitrary.
That's right.
21 million.
Why not 100 million, right?
Right. So clearly that's still a very valuable mechanism. It works.
Yeah.
It still holds grounds. But this is something totally different where now we can create whole new, ecosystems and value layers
based on hard data.
Yeah, derived from semi-organic bits of.
Well, it's definitely organic because people are just freely trading Bitcoin.
Right.
And we're just leveraging that data to build a virtual world on top of that information.
Yeah, I only said semi because it's not organic in the sense that I'm used to. Like, there's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not biology.
Yeah. It's not truly organic, but in the process of, like, I guess the value that results from it is much more organic than just somebody declaring something, right? So there's a process behind it. That's why we like Bitmap so much. And obviously, we're not alone. We started talking about it 2 weeks ago, roughly. Mm-hmm. Actually, probably like 10 days ago. I'm going to say today's our 10-day anniversary, even though I don't know for sure. Yeah, feels like it.
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, dude, we started out we had no idea what was going to happen with this. We just liked the idea. And fuck, dude, 10 days later, this thing's almost blocked out.
Yeah, completely. And we almost forgot. We actually heard Bitoshi's voice over the weekend.
We did. Yeah, that was wild.
It was in a 5-hour Twitter space.
That was wild, dude. Yeah. I think everybody was like, that was like a kumbaya moment for sure. Yeah. Everybody was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, everybody loved it. Like everyone's like super excited about what's happening.
Yeah, man, that's true.
This is like the most grassroots of anything that has occurred.
Well, these things have happened, but I don't know. This is definitely like hardcore, like Web3 bear market stuff.
Yeah.
This is when these types of things like happen, right? The initial core community
this one's forms. Just a little bit different. Like say, for example, BRC20s or Ordinals or ERC721s.
Yeah.
It's like a standard that people just leverage to build out their own picture project, their own whatever.
Yeah.
But this one's like everyone's collectively trying to build out this ecosystem, like all together.
Yeah, and I think that was the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this standard was to align a community, like, again, have that shared understanding of like this is just like a groundwork to build on top of, right? It doesn't really declare anything beyond that, right?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of making a picture project of 800,000 pictures. Mm-hmm. And 800,000 are almost on their way to being completely inscribed.
Well, I mean, that's basically like the standard of tokenization, period, right?
Yeah.
Like tokenization of digital collectibles. That's what ERC 721 does. That's what Ordinals does. But that's why there's such massive communities around these things, because you could but you can create your own individual micro communities within this overall broader ecosystem.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But I think it's a feat to understand. It's equivalent of like launching an 800,000 PFP project and 800,000 being minted out. Mm-hmm. Like it's a celebration when 10K gets minted out.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
We're talking about 10K versus 800K.
Yeah.
Like the scale is different.
This is definitely big.
And it's because of the idea, the concept of the metaverse.
And again, it's not anything arbitrary either. Like this is it. Once these blocks are inscribed out, like Blockout, that's what we're calling it, the Blockout, that's it. At that point, we're transitioning into like a real-time era where like now the only new, whether they're virtual environments or not, the new, block layer, like introduction of new potential value, 144 of those a day. That's it for the rest of time.
Dude, and think of the foreshadowing that we had that we called this podcast the Block Runner.
Dude, what luck. Totally lucky, dude. Yeah. So didn't see that one coming. We just thought that was a cool name for our little podcast 4 years ago, but it definitely applies now, dude. We're definitely running some blocks. I like it.
We definitely are.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into, how is this space maturing and evolving? Now that we know we're getting really close, probably within the next, 3 to 7 days, we'll achieve Blockout and move to the next era.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know.
It's like parceling and then building and then, after that.
Yeah, live blocks, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're getting close to like a next stage.
Yeah.
Right? So what's developing here?
Yeah, so just like anyone can just depict the Bitcoin blockchain as a single line of transactions all linked, in a chain. Some people are saying, well, why does it have to look like a single line of transactions? Why can't they look like a lattice? Why can't they look like a spherical representation of the transactions?
Yeah.
And so that's what this guy is proposing. Is like, do you have any ideas how we can develop tools to play around with visualizing the bitmaps? And so here's an example. Right, our world is spherical. Why can't we depict all 800,000 transactions in this spherical shape?
Damn. And then within these cubes, I guess, would be like little cubes.
Yeah. So within these cubes, they would be the individual 3D parcels inside. So you're looking at, on average, 2,000 transactions per cube, and so you're looking at a pretty deep ecosystem here.
Yeah, I don't think any like actual like physics have to like be. I mean, it can and cannot be like considered if for whatever reason a consensus was to form around this new interpretation of like this is what we're actually truly building here. We're building these spherical, spatial environments. I don't think like the ownership has to be like, okay, now you can only build in this like little floating space,
right?
Because dependent on like this interpretation of the visualization, it's just. To me, at the moment, I guess it looks like something cool that people can kind of like gravitate around. But when it actually comes to like jumping into one of these, I feel like it's going to morph into a much more subjective, like ecosystem, right? Each one can have its own rules, its own parameters.
Agree. I totally agree. Yeah. The projects that build on top of Bitmap, they're going to have their own vision of what that 3D environment looks like, and we're going to take a look at one, which is pretty cool. But it's not limited to that.
Right.
It is one of the options that you could leverage for your district or multiple districts that you might own, and it could be a network of these different worlds.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about this, because it's usually, again, in the arbitrary world of the metaverse space or whatever, there's very like limited constraints on those ecosystems, right? There is like a standard interpretation like within that siloed ecosystem, and you can't really go outside of those bounds, right? And it's very limiting, and it's difficult to create true value with those kind of limitations, right? And in the Bitmap ecosystem, it's free reign. Anybody can, experiment in any way to try and create their own, value mechanism, which is important. If somebody succeeds, then that most likely will become like a replicable model that others will kind of like, start to deploy.
Yeah, and this is we're entering that experiment phase. Yeah. Like there's some people who are taking what looks like a galaxy and putting a parcel in the center, and then they're like spinning out these like different parcels for a given district.
I think even Batoshi, like in these comments.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
kind of like, check this out.
Yeah,
dude.
You're right.
It's like I'm way
ahead of you, dude.
Yeah. Damn. See, that looks pretty freaking weird.
Yeah, so you could start doing your own interpretation of the data, and that's what you want. You want people to experiment, figure out what's sticking, and people are going to, build on top of what sticks. Right,
and if you've been following us for the several years we've been involved in the metaverse space, this is like one of the things that you have kind of like harped in on. It's like, dude, the point of the metaverse is like not be like so predictable.
Yeah.
It's like we're supposed to do shit that doesn't like follow the laws of physics. It's supposed to be like just wacky craziness, right? That's what's going to make, the virtual world that much more engaging.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's nothing we can experience here in physical reality.
Yep.
So why would we just like try and replicate those similar, frameworks?
Yeah, and I think it's just easy for us to comprehend like the metaverse as like starting with land, but it does not have to be that way.
It doesn't. I totally agree. Who knows what so somebody crazier than us with a much more, creative mind space is going to have to formulate that.
Yeah.
Like that theory of like, oh man, this is what we should be doing, right?
Yeah.
But the potential is there. That's the whole point, right?
And so Batoshi, his website, bitmap.land, definitely visit it. Definitely read the Git book.
Yeah, definitely changed, right? It used to take you straight to that Git book.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so now he's showing you a map. And what is this map? It's split into 4 sections. Each section is called an epic. An epic is the blocks between the halvening events.
Okay.
So we got the first halvening, second, third, and we're about to experience our fourth in about
no
a
wonder
year.
It's cut off. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
That's like the actual like true time and place. That's where we are right now.
Correct.
The very end of
that. As a matter of fact, I can click and hold, and then I can zoom in to the very last mined block.
I wonder what the gray represents.
I think that they're open.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
They just became not open.
Right.
Okay. So this is cool. Damn, I didn't know you could even zoom in that far and see the numbers. So this is another visualizer, kind of like what Ordinal's wallet has deployed, but it's different, right?
Yeah.
Because it's segmented into these epochs, like you're saying.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah. So you can see all of them that are open. I think they're working on, his dev is working on the ability to inscribe just by clicking on the parcel here. But they have a, I guess, collaboration with Looks Ordinal, and you can inscribe parcels through this interface as well.
Yeah. So I guess you visit the bitmap.land, and that's where you can kind of like visually determine, you know, what's available, what's not.
Correct.
I mean, really, realistically, this tool is going to be like probably valuable for like about a week.
Yeah.
Because at some point, it's just going to be full orange.
Yeah, correct.
Like very soon.
Man, you present this to developers, they're like, licking their chops. Like now we're talking.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally agree.
So shout out to Bitoshi Blockamoto and team over there. Mm-hmm. They were able to build this very fast.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see what else is going on. So we got
shout out Tomlinson.
He's coming in with the good questions. Give me a unique value proposition for Bitmap, something feasible and something we can accomplish over the next month.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the biggest question to be asking the community at this point. Because at some point, which we're probably already at now, we're moving past the euphoria. This is obviously like there's social consensus around this.
Yeah, people
see there's a mutual understanding of value, and again, so now what, right? We're in the now what phase. What do we build next?
Yeah, right? Correct. So Fractal Visions, an experienced developer here, he's coming up with his own iteration and vision of the metaverse on top of Bitcoin. And all the links will be in the description, but definitely check out this thread, and we're going to kind of go through the different, his vision of what this looks like. So they're using a bunch of technology here, and so this is one implementation of said technology. But as you can see, this kind of looks like Minecraft.
It's exactly like Minecraft.
And as a matter of fact, you can just kind of like dig and kind of build out everything that you can kind of desire. Mm-hmm. But let's take a look at this map, though. And so this is completely on-chain activity. So if I zoom out, so this is a max zoom. So let me go in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see it's rendering.
Let it enhance.
Yeah.
Enhance.
So you can go deep in here. So I can spawn in this location, double click on it.
Yeah.
And I'm here. And it renders in real time. And so what they were able to do is they leveraged the Minecraft client, and they're able to build out this world. And I feel like it was procedurally generated, but the map here is gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Like going back to zooming out, and I scrolled through this thing, and this is the biggest map I think I've ever seen, like as far as the metaverse goes. It goes on forever.
There's definitely a bounce to it, because eventually we did reach like the very far corner of it.
So we were at the very top, and so this is where like I think a lot of the building was happening.
That's right.
Yeah, here we go.
Now, where we have some signs of human activity.
That's right. Look at that. Is that MJ? I don't know who that is.
I don't know. What is that? We got angels in here, dude.
Got art.
Pluto.xyz. So this reminds me a lot of crypto voxels type experience. This is very bare bones, what you would expect from like early days metaverse, right? Not much functionality. But so the point here is what exactly? Like this isn't like some fully fleshed out vision of what Bitmap can be, right?
No. This is just one implementation, one view, one option that you might have if you were inclined and you were interested to kind of build out your virtual district into something like this.
Well, there's going to have to be like a huge amount of resources and contribution towards this, right? Who knows how long it's going to take for this to become, what's the word?
Kind of like formalized and standardized and all that.
Yeah, because clearly, I mean, whoever owns these blocks, if you want to interpret them as, okay, these are shared ownership or units of ownership of a virtual ecosystem, then you're going to need some sort of way to deploy an actual world existence within it, right? So these tools and frameworks need to be built.
Yeah.
So what we just saw right there in that little Minecraft land, that was all built with like open source technology, on-chain stuff.
And just to contrast, this is so we did a podcast that we released on Saturday, and we were running around in M Squared's metaverse, which is just a testing ground. But here we are in its own virtual environment.
Yeah.
It's obviously a higher fidelity than the one that we were just looking at. But we're able to contextualize our existence in the metaverse through these tools and ability to kind of have the dev community build out their own image of the metaverse.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of outlining the spectrum of possibilities here. I wanted to talk about this tweet though. This one is from Solionaire.
Something like that. Solallionaire.
Yeah. So again, the link will be in the description, but I just wanted to paraphrase everything he's talking about. He's talking about block tributes. And so he's identifying, obviously, the happening block as valuable. And he lists out the different blocks that could, be categorized as some sort of value.
Yeah.
And we got the epic blocks. Every 2016 blocks is difficulty adjustment, 210,000 blocks.
Yeah.
The millionth block here is the equivalent of 6 cycles. And so it's all outlined here. And so it brought to my attention, it's like, well, what else could you find in this data that could be valuable, right? And so this is just sort of like the starting point of coming up with that point.
New value layers, right? Yeah. And I think this is definitely going to become like normalized, just like already in the ordinal space. Attributes is like a big thing. And obviously there's a big effort to push that narrative. Whether or not you truly believe those things are rare or not, it doesn't matter. There's a market forming around that.
That's right.
Like there's already people participating in that interpretation, so it's being prolifferated, right? So these things are now going to be existent, part of the market dynamics of ordinals. Whether or not you see value in that, it's like you have the power by simply buying or not buying.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I'm assuming at some point, pretty quickly, these whole block tributes, which is actually much more of like a scarce, like a value proposition, because they don't deal with the hundreds of millions of sat units. It's the whole block itself. Like what is the value attribute to that whole block? Right. So there's legitimate applications for that. And all this is going to be necessary, right, whenever it comes to creating like an actual market around bitmaps and, of course, the parcels within them, so that if your parcels are associated to a block that has these very, widely understood rarity components of block tribute, then shit, that's where all the value comes from, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's how markets are formed. They identify these different value layers and they leverage it just in the same way rare sats leveraged the value layer of rare satoshis. So
it's going to be up to the platform builders, right? The marketplace aggregators and provisioners to incorporate this stuff into the user experience and formalize it. And again, form these markets around these ideas. So definitely see that coming. Without a doubt, you're going to see pretty much everybody who supports bitmaps in any kind of platform sense. I'm pretty sure block tributes will be pretty well
adopted. Yeah,
pretty much.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Blockrunner, at MetaZone.io, and at Roby AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.